The afternoon train was crowded. Every seat was occupied and people stood shoulder to shoulder, staring at their phones or looking out the windows. At one corner sat Daniel, a 35-year-old single father. His 6-year-old daughter Lily rested beside him, hugging her favorite stuffed rabbit. They were traveling home after Lily's hospital checkup. Daniel noticed a young girl slowly walking through the aisle with the help of a single crutch. She looked no older than 19. One leg was missing below the knee, replaced by a simple prosthetic limb that showed signs of heavy use. Many passengers looked at her for a second, then quickly looked away. She stopped beside Daniel's seat. With a nervous smile, she softly asked, "Excuse me, can I sit here?" Daniel looked around. There wasn't an empty seat. The only available space was where little Lily was sitting. Several passengers expected Daniel to politely refuse. Instead, he smiled warmly. Of course, he gently lifted Lily onto his lap. "This seat is yours." The young woman's eyes widened, really. "Yes," Daniel replied. "Everyone deserves to rest." She slowly sat down, clearly exhausted. For a few moments, she simply stared at the floor. Then tears quietly rolled down her cheeks. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean to cry." Daniel handed her a tissue. "You don't need to apologize." After a long silence, she finally spoke. "My name is Emma." She looked out the train window. "Most people pretend they don't see me. Some avoid sitting near me. Others think I'm asking for money. But you gave me your daughter's seat without even asking questions." Daniel smiled. "My parents taught me something. They said kindness should never depend on someone's appearance." Little Lily looked up at Emma with innocent curiosity. "Does your leg hurt?" Emma laughed through her tears. Lily thought for a second before holding out her stuffed rabbit. "When I get scared, Bunny makes me feel better. You can hold him." Emma carefully accepted the toy as if it were something priceless. For several minutes, she hugged it tightly. Then she quietly shared her story. 3 years ago, I was in a terrible bus accident. My parents didn't survive. I lost my leg, I lost my home. I lost almost everything. The train became unusually quiet. Even nearby passengers who had been pretending not to listen slowly lowered their phones. Emma continued. "I spent months learning to walk again, but learning to trust people was much harder." She looked at Daniel. "Today was my first job interview in almost 2 years. I wanted this job so badly. But when they saw my disability, they politely said they'd call me." She forced a smile. "They never will." Daniel looked at her for a moment. Then he reached into his backpack. He took out a business card. "I manage customer support at a small company. We care about hardworking people, not perfect bodies." Emma stared at the card in disbelief. "You're serious?" Daniel nodded. "Call me tomorrow. I can't promise you'll get the job, but I promise you'll get a fair interview." Emma completely broke down. She covered her face and cried harder than before, not because she felt pitied, because someone had finally seen her as a person. The elderly woman sitting across the aisle quietly stood up. She walked over and handed Emma a small lunch bag. "I packed too much food today," she smiled. "I'd hate for it to go to waste." A teenage boy removed his headphones. "My uncle owns an apartment. I'll ask if he has a cheaper room available." Another passenger quietly offered to pay for Emma's taxi after the train ride. One act of kindness had spread through the entire train. When the train reached Emma's station, she slowly stood. She handed Bunny back to Lily. "Thank you for sharing your best friend." Lily smiled. "You can keep him." Emma shook her head no. "You'll need him someday." Then she knelt carefully beside Lily. "But I'll never forget him." She turned toward Daniel. "I only asked for a seat." "You gave me hope," Daniel smiled. "Sometimes that's the most important thing we can give." Emma stepped off the train with tears still in her eyes, but this time they were tears of hope. 6 months later, Daniel was working in his office when someone knocked on his door. He looked up. Standing there was Emma. She wore a company ID badge and carried a box of donuts. Behind her was another young woman using a wheelchair. Emma smiled brightly. "I wanted you to meet our newest employee." Daniel looked surprised. Emma laughed. "You gave me a chance, now I want to give others one too." Daniel stood silently for a moment. Then he smiled, the same warm smile that had changed everything months earlier. Because true kindness doesn't end with one good deed. It inspires another and another until strangers become family. And all because one tired girl gathered enough courage to ask a simple question. Can I sit here hard? If this story touched your heart, please support our channel. Thumbs up, like this video to spread kindness. Speech balloon comment with one kind word, or tell us what you would have done in this situation. Bell subscribe and join our growing family as we work toward 1,000 subscribers. Every subscription helps us create more inspiring stories that remind the world kindness still exists. Remember, one small act of kindness can change someone's entire life. Thank you for watching. See you in the next heartwarming story, Heart.